He's our pattern. God loved David. Why? Because he loved God with all of his heart. Was there anything special about David? No. As a matter of fact, there wasn't. You know, the fact of the matter is, David was an illegitimate son of Jesse. His father was ashamed of him because he represented his sin. Psalm 51 says, in sin did my mother conceive me. So much so that this young man was pushed aside. He didn't look like his other brothers. He didn't act like his other brothers. And Jesse sent him out into the hills to tend the sheep. So ashamed that when Samuel came to anoint a new king, they didn't even bother to call him. But God recognizes each and every one of us, no matter how we got here, whose we are, what our circumstances are. There is no place that God cannot find you. And in those hills, that unremarkable son learned to worship God. And when the prophet came, he said, do you have another son? After walking through 7 strong, handsome, good-looking, distinguished sons of Jesse, he looks up and he says, is there another one? Because these are not him. See, because God doesn't look on what we look like on the outside. He looks at the honesty and the integrity of the heart. Hallelujah. You ought to thank God for whatever way the Lord brought you here. Whatever your circumstances were, whatever the tests were, you ought to thank God, because it's all part of a master plan to cause you to rule and to reign. And I'm telling you, if you are bitter about what has happened to you in your life, get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's all part of the fight. It's all part of what God is going to use to make you everything that you need to be. And it's part of your training to be a ruler and a king in God's kingdom. And I got news for you. It doesn't happen in the sweet by and by. It's now. It's now that he's calling us to be rulers and kings. Amen? Not servants. Not underfoot. Not the tail. The head. The head. I feel impressed of God to say, young people, and I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I just feel strongly that I need to say, some of you need to forgive your parents. Because some of your parents have shortcomings. And some of you don't understand those shortcomings. And they have affected you deeply. But forgive. And begin to praise and worship God. Because God has something in store for you. And it's through these trials. Hallelujah. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I know I'm talking to somebody. Through your trials. Some through the fire. Some through the rain. But we are overcomers. Hallelujah. Now I've lost my place. Hallelujah.
It was a word from the Lord.
Hallelujah. David was a worshiper. Worshipers want, need, crave the presence of God. They seek his glory. They can't just come into church and just sing and write out the check in the checkbook and look around to see who's got what on and who showed up today. They come to do business. They're not worried about which young person didn't speak to them or didn't wear the outfit they thought they ought to wear, or that they had an earring or a tattoo or whatever it is. They don't care about that. They come to worship God. They haven't spent the week just doing whatever, partying all night long and then dragging into church and laid out, half asleep. They come to worship. They've been worshiping through the week because they cannot live without the presence of God. That's a worshiper. Worshipers know how to take the circumstances of their life and give them back to God as a sacrifice of worship. Worshipers know how to say, naked came I into this world, and naked shall I go. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Worshipers seek the presence of God. Hallelujah. They come here because this place is holy. They come here because together with the saints, they know they can make a joyful noise that rises into the portals of heaven and pleases God. They come here because God inhabits the praises of his people. They come because they need to be with God. Amen. David was a warrior. That's the first key to having access to the key of David. Be a worshiper. Number 2, David was a warrior, bar none. A fighter who demonstrated over and over and over again, even in his youth, that he was better than an army of men. Warriors, and I've come to understand this, having listened to my brother and my dad and many of you who have served in the military in this church, that a good percentage of your time is not necessarily fighting, but watching, standing guard. See, we in America experience what we experience because men and women in the military stand guard 24 hours, 7 days a week on our borders, on our shores, and in distant lands who could potentially be a threat to us.